Hello everyone, my name is Steven and this is my presentation for the initial research proposal under business research methods. My topic is about how influencer credibility affects the purchase intention of skincare products among Indonesian consumers. This is a relevant issue today because influencer culture is huge in Indonesia, especially in the beauty and the skincare market. The skincare and cosmetics industry in Indonesia has been growing rapidly, and this growth has changed how brands communicate with customers. Instead of relying mainly on traditional advertising, companies now depend heavily on social media influencers. On platforms like Instagram and TikTok, consumers, especially younger ones, they often check reviews, tutorials, and product recommendations before deciding what skincare product to buy. But the challenge is, even though influencers marketing is everywhere, not all endorsements are equally effective. Some influencers can convince their followers easily, while others are viewed with skepticism. This raises a key question. Does influencer credibility actually influence skincare purchase intention in Indonesia? That's the main issue this research aims to explore. This study is grounded in two main theories. The first is source credibility theory, which explains that people are more likely to believe a message when the source, in this case the influencer, is perceived as expert, trustworthy, and attractive. These three dimensions are commonly used in research to measure how credible an influencer appears to their audience. The second theory is the elaboration likelihood model, or ELM for short. This model explains how people process persuasive messages. Some consumers take the central route, which means they look more deeply at the content and the information shared by the influencer. And the others, they use the peripheral route, meaning they focus on things like the influencer appearance, popularity, or general vibe. Together, these theories help us understand why people respond differently to influencer endorsements and how credibility might shape their intention to buy skincare products. Research on influencer marketing shows mixed results, which makes this topic is more interesting to study. For example, Jean Empois found that when followers feel a sense of closeness or connection with an influencer, their trust increases, and that leads to higher purchase intention. In the beauty industry, specifically, Xu showed that influencers who demonstrate expertise such as knowledge about ingredients, routines are viewed as more credible or persuasive. However, not all studies show strong effects. Lim et al. Found that in Southeast Asia, influencer marketing can be inconsistent, especially when followers feel that the content is too commercial or lacks authenticity. In Indonesia itself, Widodo et al. Reported that consumers do rely on influencers for skincare information, but still prefer honest, authentic reviews rather than purely promotional content. These mixed findings highlight the importance of understanding which dimensions of credibility actually matter in shaping purchase intention among Indonesian skincare consumers. Based on the earlier literature, the key issue is that although influencer marketing is widely used in Indonesia's skincare industry, it is still unclear which credibility factors actually influence purchase intention, or whether they influence it at all. This leads to the main research objective of this proposal, which is to examine how influencers' credibility affects consumers' intention to purchase skincare products. To break it down, this study has four specific objectives. First, to analyze the role of expertise or how knowledgeable the influencers appears. Second, to examine how trustworthiness or perceived honesty in sincerity influences consumers. Third, to assess whether attractiveness, including appearance and presentation style, has an effect on purchase intention. And last, to identify which of these three credibility dimensions is the strongest predictor of purchase intention among Indonesian skincare consumers. These objectives guide the directions of the full research project. This study has a clear and defined scope. The research focuses specifically on how the three dimensions of influencer credibility, expertise, trustworthiness, and attractiveness, influence purchase intention in the skincare category. The geographic focus is on major Indonesian urban areas such as Jakarta, Surabaya, Medan, Bandung, and Batam, where social media usage and skincare consumptions are the highest. For the sample, the study targets Indonesian consumer aged 18 to 35 who actively use Instagram or TikTok and have been exposed to skincare influencer. This group represents the main online skincare market and is familiar with influencer content. The unit of analysis is the individual consumer based on their personal perceptions and buying intentions. And finally, the methodological focus involves a quantitative survey analyzed using SPSS with correlations and regression tests to measure the relationships between variables. This study is significant for several reasons. First, from an academic perspective, it contributes to the ongoing discussions about influencer marketing, credibility, and digital consumer behavior. While global studies exist, research specifically focusing on Indonesian skincare consumers is still quite limited. This proposal adds a more localized understanding to the literature. Second, on the government and policy side, these findings may support efforts related to digital advertising transparency and consumer protection. Influencer promotions are becoming more common, so understanding credibility can help policymakers design clearer guidelines for endorsement and paid content. And finally, for the industry, this study is valuable because companies often rely heavily on influencers but don't always know which traits actually drive purchase decisions. By identifying the most influential credibility factors, brands can choose partners more strategically and create campaigns that resonate better with Indonesian consumers. From the literature and the theories discussed, 4 hypotheses are proposed in these studies. The first hypothesis states that influencers' expertise has a positive effect on purchase intention. This means that when consumers feel the influencer is knowledgeable about skincare, they are more likely to buy the product. The second hypothesis is that trustworthiness also positively influences purchase intention. So if the influencer appears honest and sincere, consumers are more willing to follow their recommendations. The third hypothesis is that attractiveness plays a role as well. In influencer marketing, appearance and presentation can act as persuasive cues, especially for skincare products. And finally, the fourth hypothesis proposes that one of these 3 credibility dimensions will stand out as the strongest predictor of purchase intention. This allows the study to identify which factor matters the most to Indonesian consumers. This study uses a quantitative research design, specifically a descriptive correlational approach, because the goal is to measure and analyze how the 3 credibility factors relate to purchase intention. For the sampling, I will use purposive sampling, targeting Indonesian consumer aged 18 to 35 who actively use Instagram and TikTok or are familiar with skincare influencer. The target sample size is between 200 to 250 respondents, which is considered adequate for correlations and regressions analysis. Data will be collected using an online questionnaire like a 5-point Likert scale. All participants will be informed about the purpose of the research. Participation is voluntary, no personal identifiers will be recorded, and all responses will remain confidential. For measurement, the credibility items are adapted from established scales by Ohanian and Xu, while purchase intentions are adapted from Jin and Hua, as well as Widodo and colleagues. These sources ensure the questionnaire is valid and reliable. The data will be analyzed using SPSS, starting with descriptive statistics, followed by correlation tests, and see how the variables relate to each other, and finally multiple regressions to determine which credibility factor has the stronger influence on purchase intention. In terms of the expected contributions, this research offers several benefits. First, it provides a clearer understanding on how Indonesian consumers perceive influencer credibility, especially within the skincare market. This contributes to the academic discussions on digital consumer behavior. Second, the findings can support digital consumer protection efforts, especially when it comes to transparency in paid promotions and endorsements. Third, the study helps brands and marketers make more informed decisions when selecting influencers, ensuring their campaigns are not just popular but actually effective. In conclusion, this research examines the role of the influencer credibility as a key factor in shaping purchase intention. By identifying which dimensions, expertise, trustworthiness, and attractiveness has the strongest impact, the study aims to offer practical insights for businesses and meaningful contributions to both policies and academic work. Thank you for watching, and I hope this proposal provides a useful foundation for understanding influencer credibility in Indonesia's skincare industry. Thank you.